Good morning, traders. Today is Wednesday, June 29th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, yesterday we had a massive sell-off in the market, which left a ton of weakness behind. We got tons of single prints here that need backfilling, and a weak reference up there at 38.56 that need repair. So that is a bit of excess to the downside, which will probably need to be balanced off. Two ways to balance it off. We can rotate at lower prices, or we can pull price back up to balance it off with price, not time. A thing that really stands out to me is the fact that the overnight inventory last night just rotated basically around yesterday's low. So that's sort of neutral, but it could mean we got some support now right here around yesterday's low. So as the market opens, we're opening inside the previous day's range, so we would expect chop. The overnight inventory is a little bit net long, so we would expect a bit of a push down, but no big deal. It's basically neutral. So what we'll do is when we get that counter auction, we'll test this support right around yesterday's low. Can that hold? If that breaks, I think the market is looking for a gap fill to fill that gap we left behind on Friday. Down to 38.06. Of course, from there, we would monitor for continuation lower. However, I think there's a pretty good chance we could find some support in there. And then, like I said, either start to rotate sideways. So we push down here, fill the gap. Either start to kind of grind around down here, absorbing this big move, or find support and then start to head back up. So I will definitely be looking for support at 38.06. to see if they can hold it there. As far as looking for trades to the upside, so obviously the trade to the downside is filling the gap if we break below yesterday's low. The trade to the upside would be getting above the overnight high at 38.40. And then finding support there, right? So if the market trades up, it backfills the single prints here in the J period, comes back down, starts to find support around that overnight high, that is good for a trade long, looking for backfilling all the single prints and all the weakness we left behind there. So you pretty much you break the overnight high, you're going higher. You break the overnight low, you're going down to the gap. Or really, you break yesterday's low, you're going down to the gap, and in between we'll just chop around here like the overnight. If you had to put a gun to my head right now, make me guess, I would say gap fill, looking for support there, and then kind of rotation sideways. But let's wait and see. Okay, so we just poked below yesterday's low. That is bearish. So now we're looking for resistance. All right, gap fill it is. So the target to the downside is 38.06, looking for support there. If they don't get it, then the target becomes monitoring for continuation, right? We got lots of weakness below that needs repair. So if they pull down and they don't find support there, look for continuation lower. And so on and so forth. That is what monitoring for continuation means. As long as they don't bounce, you assume it's going to keep going down. Cortman is first. Good morning. Chilling with Dylan. Good to see you. Philip is here. T. Work. John Lash. Caffeine. Eric. Cyrus. Butcher. Welcome, Butcher. Eldora. John Lash says, Powell is talking, so everyone be cautious if he says something good or dumb. Yeah, I don't find those like conference type of conversations have that kind of effect on the market as the like serious, sitting down in front of Congress or whatever type of things. But sure, he could say something that could make the markets move. Web Motor Sales, welcome to you. RK Leon, good morning. Ed is here. MW. Rev in the house. Blue shirt. Elliot. James is with us. Sanju. Juan. Mike. Aviv. Boss Man. John Button. T. Bay. John Button says, any news to be aware of today? Was super tight overnight trading? Yeah, it was a pretty tight range for the overnight. They had some indecision there, some uncertainty. I'm surprised they didn't try to come down and fill the gap, or didn't succeed, I should say, in filling the gap. As far as any news to be aware of, I recommend the website Financial Juice. You can use it for free, and they always keep everything updated with the latest news. If something's really important, it'll generally pop up in red and catch your eye. All right, so we're looking for some resistance here. If not in this node that we're currently getting it, the halfback just above at 38.20. If not there, at yesterday's low, 38.23. Still got a few more points to fill that, or one more point to fill that gap. So these buyers were front running it, which is bullish that they will find support there. All right, remember the larger traders, they can't buy at exact references. They're not going to buy right at a gap fill. So if they're looking for support, they're going to be layering in their orders in here. So that might have been a little bit of support. But we still got to get that gap fill. All right, there's the gap fill. So now the question is, in terms of monitoring for continuation lower, do we find support there and try to head back up into yesterday's range? Or do we get continued resistance looking to head lower and repair these weak references down at 37.74? It would make sense to find support in here, as this was a previous balance area high. Okay, we got some new sellers piling on here. All right, well, I'm neutral once again on this support. I'll get bearish if we start to trade back down to the lows once again. If we break back down below this this high here. I remain neutral in this zone. And then if we can get back up into yesterday's range, that would be bullish. That we just needed to fill the gap, and now we can go start working on repairing the weakness above. But in the middle, it's a no man's zone. So we're looking for resistance to see if they're going to keep selling. All right, that's resistance, and we are about to start pressing back down into the range from the 23rd, from Thursday of last week. That will get me bearish once again if this support does not hold. Coop, I don't see a gap on my chart. Gap's already filled, brother. And it was left behind from the high of Thursday of last week to the low of Friday from last week. So just scan back to the left. So my eyeballs are just watching this high. Can this keep acting as support? No, sir. New sellers. Bearish once again. So it'll probably be a slow grind to get down there and repair those weak references. I don't think it'll, drop like a brick because, again, this was a balance area, right? So there's tons of support in here that the market's going to have to slowly grind its way lower to get through. But the target is repairing these weak references at 37.75. As long as we stay inside Thursday's range. There's also a trend line I drew on the daily here from the lows that could potentially act as some support for a bounce, and it lines up beautifully with the highs from the bounce area. Okay, resistance at the overnight low is bearish. Can the sellers hold it here? Looking for further downside continuation. All right, new buyers. Trying to get through that resistance. Oh, shit, they are through the resistance. All right, well, I'm back to neutral. And if they get up into yesterday's range, I'll be bullish. Particularly getting back up into yesterday's range. Hold on one second. Man, this market moves so fast, I can't even draw the pictures with the speed. So if it can get back above what was support for the overnight, so if it can push above there, come back down and find support, that's good for continuation higher. And obviously if they get above that overnight high, I get really bullish. Charles, why the flip-flop? Well, because sometimes the market has to break before it can rally. Sometimes the market just has to get to a certain level to find the buyers, and then it's ready to reverse and go the other way. And filling that gap would have been that level. So getting back up into yesterday's range increases the odds the market wants to head up and repair the weakness it left behind. All right, so we're above that node now. We want to see this act as support. FOMO. So don't buy it up here. This is FOMO, but let's look for support on a pullback to the 27 area. Lee and Q. Yeah, let's take a look. Exactly the same as the ES. I mean, they didn't have a gap to fill, but as far as getting back up into yesterday's range, as long as they can now turn this big node where all this time and volume was spent in the overnight, as long as they can now turn that into support, it's good for continuation to the upside. As far as targets to the upside on the NQ, you got a single print at 11,739 that needs backfilling. They could just need to backfill that and find resistance there. If not, you got another set up at 11,860 and then all the way up to 11,936. So if we can turn this node into support, you'd want to monitor for continuation higher. Back to the ES. All right, support inside yesterday's range increases the odds that the market wants to push higher and repair some of the weakness it left behind yesterday. So the first of that is the base of the single prints down at 38.4250. We're looking for the market to push up and backfill that, find resistance there, because we often find resistance at the base of single prints, and then see when it pulls back down, does it find support? If it does, that's good for continuation up to the next bit of weakness above, which is the repair of the week J period high at 38.56. Oh, did I speak too soon? Did the ticks get punched in the face? Well, we're back in support. Let's see if they can hold it. Scooball calling for a chop day. Way too early to make that call, brother. It may happen. We may just rotate, but there's a lot of weakness above. Remember, every single set of single prints is a magnet. There's a lot of magnets here, man. Pulling on that price. Come fix us. Come repair us. We want to do business. Okay, with the printing of the B period, we pulled the POC higher and the value area higher. It's a little bit bullish. Can we hold yesterday's low? Chirp, gap, and go? No, sir. Gap and go would have been continuation lower. Actually, there wasn't even a gap. We opened inside the previous day's range. So no gap at all. It was a gap fill from last week. So it could be a gap fill and go. Scooball, this support is not holding? Yeah, give it a second, brother. They got to change some hearts and minds. Everybody started the day super bearish. They got to convince them they can trust their longs. Chirp, correct. Yeah, this was just a gap fill. So a gap and go. Let's say the market had opened lower today. Let's say we opened down here. That would have been a gap down. That's a new piece of business, right? That's new sellers taking the market lower, which is a sign of momentum to the downside. Whereas a gap fill, which is what we got today, is repairing old weakness that needed to be repaired. So it's like that old gap was a magnet pulling on price, And as soon as we came down here in the A period and we filled that gap, that magnet disappeared. And so there was no more negative pressure on the market. And as soon as it was gone, market went right back up. So a gap fill and a gap and go are kind of the exact opposite of each other. One is a sign of momentum, one is weakness or repairing of weakness. Okay, B period high is weak here because it is exactly the same as the overnight high. Looking to get another push higher. Getting above the overnight high would be bullish. Pavel, bullish? Question mark? Yes, bullish with a B. Yeah, NQ looks good for continuation higher. They backfilled that J period single print, got no resistance there. So it'll probably be a slow grind to get through all this resistance up here. They'll probably have to really work their way through it. But the target is backfilling that set of single prints. Let me zoom in and get an exact number for that. So 11,860. Oh man, look at those short-term traders piling on right at the overnight high, begging to get squeezed. Rockingham, man, this whole market is being dictated by short-term traders. So emotional and hard to read. Well, then your edge is for you to not get emotional. Also, it's a lot of algorithms. There's like thousands of computers trading each other, all with completely different parameters. And a bunch of retail traders making bets. Chirp. I tried your hypnosis video last night. It's good. I woke up this morning and thought trading is fun. I swear to God, that's how it works. It's like, it obviously doesn't work after one time. You have to watch it for a couple weeks. But yeah, what will happen is, and this is any hypnosis, like suddenly the thoughts that are being implanted will become your own. So like if you're, implanting this idea that like trading is fun, I have fun trading, and you're doing it for like a couple of weeks, randomly one day you'll be sitting there and you'll be thinking like, ooh, I bet they buy the support right here at 28. And then they buy it and you're like, man, trading is fun. I love trading. Like it'll just pop into your head. It's weird. All right, I'm having one of those my gut fighting against the market generated information moments. Internals are saying resistance, but my gut is saying that weakness needs repair. So let's see who wins. Anita, you can't tell what I'm saying in the video? That's the first I've ever heard that one. Yeah, sorry. Man, are you watching it like 2x speed or something? The words are up on the screen, so just record yourself saying it on your phone and then just go to sleep listening to your own voice. Oh, you fell asleep. Well, that's good. T-Work, did I use Vincent Price for the voice? No, it's my voice, but I altered it because it didn't work for me if I listened to my own voice. Like it was distracting. So I altered it a little bit so it sounded funky. Rocking it. It's probably better when you fall asleep. Thanks, man. Thanks so much. Many hours of effort went into that. Do you guys feel it? Do you sense it? All those sellers at 38.40 getting scared? Thinking, should I really be in this short? Oh, thank you for the reminder, Jay. We got 180 people hanging out, but only 65 of you gave me the thumbs up. What's the deal, yo? Don't you like me? Thank you. Fat Thor. No. Well, they have a thumbs down. Man, the resistance is strong. In my mind, this increases the odds. I still think we're going to head up there and repair that weak high, backfill those single prints, but it increases the odds. We may run out of momentum and just rotate once we do. But of course, we'll look for support and see if we get it. River Charles, can you explain why you see this as bullish? I'm still neutral. Yeah. You could see this as neutral. You could wait until we get above the overnight high and then come back down and find support. That would be the more like conservative, area to get bullish, right? Make the market prove it to us first. Then you get bullish up there. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But the reason I got so bullish, I talked about it at the open. When I looked at the chart this morning, I said to myself, we've got a gap that needs to fill, right, to the downside, but then we've got a balance area. And there's a very good chance that we find support in that balance area. Also looks like we nailed that trend line to a tick. But yeah, that support is very strong to me, right? We spent 3 days bouncing around in here. Why do we need to be in there again? But then I think about, look at all the weakness we left behind yesterday. So if I trust the support, I don't think we need to go lower today. And I know there's magnets tugging on the price up here. My assumption is that is the higher probability move, which makes me feel bullish. Now, like you, I'll be right back to neutral if we break yesterday's low. Oh, well, there we go. God damn it. I hate when it happens while I'm talking. So breaking yesterday's low basically disproves that theory that we got enough support here for continuation higher. I also said earlier the market generated information was saying resistance and my instincts were saying long. And once again, the market generated information was right, which is common. So we're looking for support in this node right around 38.12 and some chop, some grind. If they start to break below the overnight low once again, they could be targeting, testing the lows. So we definitely want to find some support in here for rotation. Scuba market got some support. Got support after some liquidation. I think it's going to be repair the high. Yeah, I'm not going to get bullish just yet. It's feeling like chop. So at this point, they're going to have to prove it to me. They're going to have to get up there and repair it and then bring in new buyers. Otherwise, we could just as easily get resistance and continue grinding. Just like the overnight. Johnny, can we break this time? Of course. Of course. All the same things are true that were true a few minutes ago. There's still a ton of weakness above. It is still bullish to have filled the gap and then pulled back up into the previous day's range. I'm just not ready to officially commit until I've gotten the confirmation at this point. Remember that prominent POCs, like this POC that we have from the overnight, where the market just kept passing through that same level over and over and over and over and over again, those can be a magnet as well. That's tough for the market to break away from. So let's let them prove it to us before we get bullish. Jay, welcome to you. He asked, do I use anything other than TPOs? No, I do not. What you see on the screen is all I use. Market profile to look for trade opportunities and market internals for confirmation. Rockingham, and if we can't, it's a good sign that we are finding acceptance at these lower prices and then for a potential leg lower. Kind of, but I'd rather repair some of the weakness first and then head lower. The market is not a fan of leaving unfinished business. You know what I mean? There's people who want to do business in these single prints. And the market is always looking for liquidity. If that's where they want to do business, that's where it's most likely to go. Looks like we're also getting some resistance from the 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles. So if we can break above that, come back down and find support, that would also be bullish for continuation. How would I interpret the 20 moving average hugging price in the choppy environment? Hugging price. Well, if it's, obviously it's support or resistance, right? So if it's continually acting as resistance, right, which it is right now, then that's just the bot selling when it pushes up into it, which is what they do. But if it's passing through it over and over again, like if it were to push above and then come back down and push below, then it's just a sign of rotation. But right now it's resistance. Tony K, do you trade anything other than futures? Nope, just ES and MES. I have found it is easier to just become a master of one market rather than trying to, pay attention to a bunch of different things or trade a bunch of different things at the same time. It just allows me more clarity and focus and obviously more experience over time. You just become really, really good at understanding how that particular market works. Even trying to trade the NQ and ES at the same time, it becomes a distraction. I start worrying about a trade in the NQ and I stop paying attention to the ES and I miss an opportunity. And then I think I could have made more money if I'd have just been focusing on the ES instead of being distracted by the NQ. You know what I mean? So I keep it real simple. Jay, I'm reading Markets in Profile by Jim Dalton. Yeah, I love that book. Highly recommend. Percy, yes, there is resistance at the 20 simple moving average on the 15-minute candles, but would that resistance be very strong? It's bots. It's just computers. It's not humans. So when we think about strong, we think of what that basically means is like the person's going to hold the position, for a bigger move. Those bots, I have no idea how they're programmed, but I have a feeling they take profits very, very quickly. That's why you keep poking at it so much. So it's like it pushes up. The bots sell it, take profits. The bots sell it, take profits. The bots sell it, take profits. You know what I mean? I think it's like a kind of like a scalping type bot. And I also have noticed they turn off at some point. So like if it keeps, like I say, with rotation, if it keeps passing through, at some point it just stops being support and resistance altogether for the rest of the day. So it's like they're programmed to work until they stop working and then they turn off. But they're crushing it this morning. JTrader, there's literally a live trader right now that watches both next to each other. Interesting how different people approach it. Yeah, there's some people that need to have like 30 charts up. Like they need it. If they don't have that much information coming in, their brain like gets bored and can't process it. So yeah, that's why trading is such an individualized thing. It's based on the way your brain works. My brain likes to keep it real simple. No challenges here. Even the process of trying to learn options on the ES has been a nightmare for me. Because if I decide, all right, today I'm going to paper trade options to experiment with some stuff, it's like I miss out on a chance to make money day trading. You know what I mean? Because I can't do both. I can't focus on options and the option chain and, where I should be getting in and what I should be doing, and focusing on quick, day trades on the futures. So my brain is very limited as to how much it can handle. All right, guys. Well, that is it for me here today. We're switching on over to the private stream. If you're not a member of the brigade, it only costs $10. Give it a try. If you don't like it, you can cancel. As far as what to expect moving forward, I have a feeling we're going to have a rotational day, and I would just keep an eye kind of on the overnight range. So break the overnight low, look for resistance. If you get it, continuation lower. You break the overnight high, you come back down and find support, continuation higher. In between, chop. Let's just stretch out the overnight so we can look at it. That is what we could have in store in the regular trading hours. So keep a close eye on that overnight high and that overnight low. Thank you guys very much. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you here tomorrow morning.